2006, and we didn't win a federal contract until 2011. All those years I was trying really hard. I was putting in bids. I was working, doing all the things you were supposed to do. But it takes a while in federal contracting to get started when you have no sort of experience. And in 2004, 2005, there wasn't as many amazing programs like this. And I think, Mike's going to talk about the IVMF, and I mean, there's VIP and all kinds of amazing groups that help veterans now. In I guess 2011, we won our first federal contract as a prime, and we started growing about 20-30% a year until 2015, when we won a $50 million contract that was like 173 full-time employees in 50 states, 3 territories, and District of Columbia. So we went from doing a few $100,000 a year to like $1 million a month, and with that kind of growth, you get all kinds of all kinds of lessons learned. Since then, I've learned some more other lessons. I've been going to a program at Harvard Business School and kind of trying to learn how to be a professional CEO of an organization that operates globally, and try to look at long-term strategy and business operations that are outside of federal contracting. So some of the things I was just, as we were listening, and we talked about app and transportation, I heard, and if you have any specific questions as I'm talking, please interrupt me, and I'll answer it. So kind of as I was listening to everybody, the first thing that I would recommend is, don't be scared to do every single part of your business first that you can, even if you suck at it. The only difference between a master and a person that hasn't is the master started one time, and they sucked too when they started. So, if you're scared of finances, take an online class, go to the local community college, take accounting for dummies or whatever it is. Whatever part of your business that you think you're scared of, you need to go learn about that. Because any part of your business that you have a blind eye to is a place where you could possibly get taken advantage of by a consultant, an employee, somebody that can, especially as you grow and finances get complex and taxes get complex, there's a lot of ways to hide somebody's personal expenses within, your books. So the more you can do, the earlier, the easier it is, right? If you're doing $1,000 a month in revenue, that's going to be easy to go, okay, well, I spent $200 on advertising and $100 taking customers out to coffee. When it's 100,000 or $1 million, and you have all sorts of different costs and travel costs and directs and indirects and wrap rates, and there's compliance. It becomes then it's the time when you should really be hiring a professional, right? And and that kind of comes to my second point, which is if you can't afford to hire an expert, you sure as hell can't afford to hire an amateur, right? So if your account, if your revenue is high enough to where you need to hire somebody to do your books, don't hire your mother-in-law. Don't ask your neighbor's friend. Don't get the your cousin's uncle that just almost graduated from accounting school or whatever. Go find an accounting firm that's services the type of businesses that you are, whether it's a franchise, whether it's a contractor. Go find a firm, go find a bank that understands your business. And I'll give you a little Bank of America, right? They loved our revenue. When we were doing $1.2 million a month, as soon as that wire would hit, I'd get a call. Hey, this is Bill Bomber. How you doing, Mike? He'd call me every month, but he never remembered that he'd called me the month before. And so even though it was a ton of money to me, it was nothing to Bank of America. They didn't understand joint ventures. They didn't understand contracts. They didn't understand receivables. Conversely, I go over to United Bank. They have a whole federal contracting small business unit. They understand receivables. They understand wide area workflow. They get it. And so while Bank of America was nice and their platform's nice and they have great online stuff, United Bank understands our business, and therefore, operationally it makes a lot more sense. Even though their app sucks, they're in their regional bank, they have a whole team that has done contracting, and that makes a huge difference when you're saying, oh, well, so-and-so hasn't paid yet. Oh, well, it's cool. You have a firm fixed price contract. They're going to pay. They're good. And that applies across the board. If you're in construction, go find a bank that works with small business construction companies. Being a veteran is not a differentiator. There's 10,000 companies waiting to get certified, and the Center for Veterans Enterprise, whatever it is now, to get that stamp that they're an approved veteran-owned company. And when, at least in federal contracting, when the designation of service-disabled veteran-owned business or veteran-owned business, and you had to be verified. There's a little bit of a help if you do federal contracting, but aside from that, you need to have a differentiator other than I'm a veteran. You need to be able to tell people why you and your business makes sense and is better than your competitor, whether it be your price point, whether it be your service. My competitive advantage when I started was I was easy to do business with. Send me a piece of paper, I'm probably not even going to read it, I'm just going to sign it and send it back. Now, my lawyers and people now, they cringe when I make that joke, but it wasn't a joke because that's what I used to do. And, because being easy to do business with is a huge deal in the federal government because there's so many other regulation and rules and that kind of stuff. So, but that's kind of my next point, is, like I said, being a veteran is not a differentiator. You need to know what 3 things you're going to be. It sounds like some people are unsure. If you want to talk to me about mind mapping and some stuff that we can do, how you might want to whittle down some of your choices, start with something. If you're talking about starting a business, if you don't really, really, really love it, it's going to be a drag on your soul really, really, really quickly. If you don't love what you're doing, right? And so that would be my advice on that. If you're unsure, what do you love to do, right? And then take the time to go past the first page of Google and research and see, can you meet a need with what you love to do that is missing in the market or within the market, but you have an idea what you could make it better? And that might be a good place to start. Because, running a small business is hard. It sounds like most of you may have some sort of financial help with getting out of the military, so at least hopefully you won't have to take a salary. Develop mentors and mentees, right? I'm on the board at a place called Veterans in Procurement. They run a 3-day class for veterans. It's a great class. I went in 2013 or 2014. I've been on the board since 2015, and it gives me an opportunity to talk to people in the federal marketplace that have 1 or 2 contracts and generally about 5 or 6 employees. And a lot of times they have a lot of the same questions that I had, 5 or 10 years ago. And so it's refreshing to not only hear some of the issues are still the same, but also some of them are different. And it's also nice to talk to them, how conditions are a lot better for small businesses in the federal contracting space now. There's protections for small businesses. Lockheed Martin's not going to stretch you out for 90 days. You can go right to your contracting officer and say, I'm a small business, these guys aren't paying, and they'll get dinged. You can call DOD and say, hey, I'm a small business, you'll get paid in 14 days. It wasn't like that a few years ago. It was kind of like, oh, you'll get paid when you get paid, and just be happy about it. So mentors and mentees, right? Mentors are people a little bit further down the road, and that doesn't mean subscribe to their religion or take everything what they say at face value, but if you see somebody that is running a business similar to the one that you'd like to run, and and they're a person that you respect, try to spend time with them and ask them questions that you may have about going down the road that they're down. And then similarly, make time for people that once you get down the road, make time for people that have questions for you too. Next, higher up, right? It's Steve Jobs, who I'm not a huge fan of, but I think he really nailed it when he said hire experts and then, let them do what experts do. Or, I'm not going to hire experts and tell them what to do. I'm going to hire experts and let them tell me what to do. And that's kind of what I think has led to our continued success. I've made some mishires, but the really good hires that I've made have made a tremendous impact on our business. And impact and meaning are also something that as a business owner, you're going to want to be able to articulate to potential employees. It's so much an hour, it's so much a year, these are my benefits. People don't care about that right now. There's more jobs than there are people. There's companies like, the big companies giving max, PTO, max, free, days off, and there's nap spaces, and there's all kinds of luxuries. What I found is that what people really are looking for is an opportunity to come into an organization that is doing something that makes an impact in the community, and they're looking for a position which they can make an impact within the organization. And maybe that impact is they're going to get a system in place, or they're going to get, they're going to do whatever. But as long as they know that what they're going to do is going to impact the company, which is going to impact the community, you'll have, I think, good success hiring good people.